Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and here we are on Soul Sunday. I hope that you've all had a wonderful weekend. I've had a good one so far. And welcome to this broadcast. For those of you who don't know, we do 3 broadcasts a week. We're like an extended family of people that get together. And DearMamaSal is all about helping you cope with love, life, and other problems. And we certainly have a few of them going on in our lives at the moment. So, what I wanted you to know is that on Friday lunchtime, we do a broadcast that we call our skills broadcast, where we try and learn something new. And on Friday evenings, these are Pacific times, Friday evening at 7 o'clock, we do one where we try to laugh a little bit. And then on Sundays, we do our Soul Sunday broadcast. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit on Soul Sunday about just letting things happen when they need to. Hi, Jody. I'm glad you're here because the first thing I wanted to show you, Jody, is that since Friday, the bean has, that particular shoot that we were seeing has grown this much since Friday. And what I've done is I've put this marker here to show this is the growth from this week. And then when we get the next T like this, I will put the marker up again. And I don't know what I'm going to find big enough to hold it all, but this is a has-been. And for those of you who are fascinated with the indoor garden thing, I'm doing all sorts of experiments at the moment. And I thought I'd show you. I'm pretty sure you all know that if you have a little bit of water in something and you close it up and it's transparent, that it will keep condensating. Can you see the condensation on that? I hope you can. All right. And so when I thought about that, hi, Sam, good to see you from Dublin. And by the way, hi, Jamie, I know you've been waiting around, and Isabel, and obviously Jody. Anyway, so once I worked that out, I realized that, obviously we could make our own little mini greenhouses. Now, I've actually got some seeds in here, and if I put the top on, you can see the condensation, right? So it's self-watering, if you like. Now, I'm going to actually take this off for the moment because it's got a little bit more water in it than I want. So I'll let it evaporate a little bit of water and then I'll put the top back on again. And this is really special to me. This is this is a butter lettuce that I actually have been growing myself. And so now I've put it in its own little mini greenhouse. So now it's going to self-water until it gets a little bit stronger. And then I will let it survive. Now, I'm also really excited to show Jody. Jody, hang on. Okay, you will all remember that I was showing you that I take my peppers, let them dry, and then I'm now taking the seeds. Well, this is my first red pepper, Jody. I don't know if you can see it in there. Can you see it? Can you see it there? Anyway, that's my first red pepper. And I've got the mini greenhouse on the top here because, again, I just want a little bit of moisture to evaporate before I put. Actually, it's doing pretty well. This requires talent. There we go. And I thought I'd show you my first, I grew it from the tomatoes in my fridge tomato. That was one of the seeds from a tomato in my fridge, and it takes a long time, people. This is not for the faint of heart. You have to be patient. But I thought we needed a name for it. Tommy, the tomato. Hang on, I've got to just plug in the battery before I get caught out here. There we go. Nearly. There we go. All right. And behind me, there, there, let me get them. I now have six lettuces growing hydroponically. And I want to see one of them. I put it in the hydroponics yesterday and it got shocked. That's okay. We'll be patient. It will recover. But this one I also put in yesterday and it seems to be fine. But these, you all know, this one's been going since mid-April, this one late April, and this one early May. So we're just going to see how many I need so that I can be self-sufficient. And if you want to know what's hydroponic, it's not growing in earth. It's growing in water. And as some of you know, I now have in my garden, I now have 3 leeks that I grew from the cutoff at the bottom of a leek, and they are growing beautifully, and 3 is enough to keep me in leeks, which is good to know. But again, this took a lot of patience, but I have in here 2 bok choy and something I'm not quite sure what it is. We'll wait and see. But I've got 2 different bok choy plants. Again, I literally put the bottom of the bok choy into earth and look what it's doing. It takes time. And I've lost quite a few before I got one that actually took. I'm patient, you know that. The whole thing here is I'm trying to work out, can I show you that if you had to, you can get greens into your life if the supply gets sucked up, which I think it may. Now, just while I think about it, we've got a sadness to report on the extended family. Sandy's papa passed away. She asked me not to put it on the Facebook page, but said it was okay to talk about it during the broadcast. So that's one thing. The other thing is on the good news, it's Emma's birthday today. No, it wasn't. It was yesterday. Emma's birthday yesterday. Emma in Ireland, who joins us sometimes for the Soul Sunday. And also today, I'd like to give acknowledgement to the fact that this is the day that our Charlotte will be running her Blue Nose Marathon. But unfortunately, because of the social distancing and everything, I'm pretty sure she's not. Marathons will be amongst the last things to be released, I think, which is sad because that's what Dougie does. So anyway, that's my update on the garden. What do you guys like most about the indoor garden stuff? By the way, I'm doing a whole new experiment. I decided I've planted just a regular pot that I would normally have a flower in, and I've just planted some lettuce in there, and I think I'm just going to let it grow. You know, not transplant it, not do anything, just see what happens. You know, can I turn this winter into, you know, that I've got lettuce growing all over the place if I want to. Now, you might wonder what I'm doing with this. There is a story. Every now and then, I have reason. If anybody joins late in the broadcast, they're going to wonder what is going on there. You love the tomato. Okay. Yeah, Tommy. We agree, right? Tommy the tomato is a good name. So I'll put his name on there. I've got a special pen here. Hang on. There it is. Okay. So we'll put it here. Okay. And so we know that's Tommy. I have a feeling there will be others. Oh, hang on a second. What the heck? We'll put it on here too. All right, now it'll probably rub off the outside one. And if it does, I'll make another plan. But now he's named, christened. Okay, so what I've decided is for next Friday's broadcast, I'm going to show you how I make my dishwashing tabs, because people were showing interest in that. And what I'm going to do is find my earphones so that I can stand here and actually physically do it while I'm talking to you. How about that? Now, as you know, with all things, in case you don't remember this, I am not one of those people that meticulously measured out things. So you're going to hear me say, and I put in some, and I'll show you what some looks like to me, some of this, and then I put in some of that, and so forth. So if you are anal about measurements on things, I'm probably going to drive you insane, so I thought I'd give you a heads up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sam. Sam saying you make your own? Yeah. So now what I said is I use those when I'm doing just a regular wash in my washing machine. I also make my own soap powder. But what I wanted to show you, this is what I use when I just want to do a rinse type thing. You know, it's nothing too bad in there. Quite honestly, if I've got a really bad greasy load, I'll put in the best quality dishwashing tab I can find. And I actually must say that the one I use is pretty good. I have hard water here, which makes it very difficult. I had no idea what a pain hard water could be, but I'm learning to cope with it. So today is all about timing. That's what I really wanted to talk to you about, because I've had this one thing on my to-do list for the longest time, since I got here. And that was to find out why why the solar lights. You see, when I got here, there were like 5 solar lights down the driveway, but only one seemed to work. And I thought, maybe it's because it's winter. Make sense? That's my logic, right? So I sort of had it on the list, you know, get the solar lights to work. But, you know, in my back of my brain, I'm going, I've got more important things to do. First of all, let's see what happens in summer, well, or spring, right? We got lots of sun now, and those lights were still not working. So we are now 4 months away from the day I moved in here. And it's been on my list, you know, and it's so every now and then I think, why aren't those lights working? And I thought, maybe they run out of oomph, whatever. So I decided to go to Mr. Google and Google what to do if your solar lights aren't working. And what I found out could be one of 2 things. I didn't even know that they had a battery inside, but apparently they do. And so one thing they said was that check to see if they have activated the battery. I'm going, well, the lights were here when I got here. I'm pretty sure they did that. And then the other thing was, if necessary, replace the battery or speak to the manufacturer. And I went, fair enough. Anyway, so I was out and doing something yesterday, and I decided it's time. So I grabbed one of the lights and brought it inside and got my, you know, glasses on so I could see what was going on. And I, you know, took it apart. And what did I find but this? This was sort of like standing along the side of the solar light. And so what I did was I pulled it. And guess what? This was stopping the battery making the solar power work. And so I went, oh, that was easy. Why didn't I try that 4 months ago? And I'm going, because you didn't. Can't change what you didn't do. You can only change what you're doing. So then I went, well, that was pretty easy, right? Timing is everything. So I went to the next one, opened it up, didn't even bother to bring it inside. I just went, and I went all the way down the line. And I now am very pleased to report that my big achievement of yesterday was I have all my solar powered lights down my driveway working. How many of you know how exciting that is? But you know, it made me think of a line from the poem Desiderata. And some of you know that every now and then I feel duty bound to repeat that poem that was written. And it was written a long time ago by Max Ehrmann. And the interesting thing was it didn't gain any popularity during his lifetime. But after he died, somebody recorded it. And it became very widely watched and listened to. And let me just type it there. So, oh no, if I type it, then you're going to go look at it. So let me read it to you. And what I want you to do is, while I read it, just think which bit connects with you. Can you do that for me? Because you see, timing is everything. And somewhere in this poem, you are going to go, oh yeah, I needed that today. So here we go. Desiderata. Go placidly amongst the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, and without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees or the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you perceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be. Isn't that beautiful? And you know, I'm not joking. I would think at least a couple of times a year, I find that and read it to myself, either in good times or in difficult times. Yeah, Jamie loves it too. And I want to tell you that anytime that I read it, you know, it means, you know, I find it connects with me. Did any of you think, oh boy, I needed to hear that this week? And you don't have to be able to quote it, but just tell me the bit about whatever, and then I'll. That is beautiful, Sam. I know it's wonderful. And you know, to me, I kept saying everything is unfolding as it should. You know when I. And I went. Took 4 months, but it was the right time to do it now. And you have no idea how much joy I got out of doing it. You know, and the joke was when I read the initial instruction, I went, well, surely they wouldn't be stupid enough not to realize that they need to pull out the connecting thing. And then I went, apparently they were. But they did it on one. That is my confusion. Why would you do it on one? All right, so hold on a second, Nyasha. Let me spell it for you so you can take a screenshot of it. Hang on, I'll get that keyboard out that you showed me. Hang on. Okay, it's called Desiderata. Oh, wait a minute. It helps if I click here first. Or is it Desiderata? Hang on, I think it's Desiderata. Wait, back one. Okay. There you go. And yes, you can find it on, you can find almost a sung version of it on YouTube. But it's I really want, the reason I wanted to read it to you quietly is because I wanted you to feel it. Okay. I probably first heard that in my 20s, and I'm not joking. I have reread those words. Hi, Nada. Nada is multitasking. You know, Nada, the fact that you are plucking your eyebrows while you're listening in is wonderful. It tells me that you are feeling a lot better, because surely you would not be plucking your eyebrows if you weren't in a better space. Well done. So proud of you. Yeah, it's amazing the things you can do while you're listening to me, right? So anyway, did anybody have one line of that where you're going, wow, I needed that today? It was interesting. I've noticed that I've got somebody in my life that constantly is comparing themselves to me. And I said, you know, you really are not being fair to yourself. You know, it's like, you have your gifts, I have mine. And that is true of all of us. And I thought about that line in there about, you know, don't compare yourself to others. There will always be greater and lesser people. And that is back to work. Good to see you, Rinsky. I'm feeling a lot better today. I'm still not 100% though, Rinsky. It's funny, isn't it? This the storm system that came in really affected me quite badly, but I'm happy that's all it was. And I'm also, you know, busy popping antihistamines like candies. Nada's saying, if I sent you a picture, can you show the broadcast? Yes, if I, think it's something I want the broadcast to see. And if I can find my phone. Wait 1 second. Let me find my phone. I'll be right back, people. That's weird. Yeah, I do know how to find it, people. But we'll make a plan. Wow, interesting. Niasha is asking, yes, Jody's saying that for her, the line, be gentle with yourself. Yeah, was the line that spoke to her. Yeah. Okay, so I've realized that I can show it on my tablet. Did you send it to DearMamaSal? Obviously. Or my real name? Let me find out. I'm not sure what this is about. It has. Where did you send it? Hey, Lily. Good to see you, honey. Nada, this is taking up time, so please let me know where you sent it, because I haven't got it on either of my emails. Okay, let me carry on. No, it hasn't come through so far. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with the broadcast, Nada. If you give me a reminder in about 15 minutes, let's see if it came through. But for some reason, it's not showing at the moment. Okay? Now I'm totally off mentality here. Hold on a second. I've got to get back into the zone. It's good to see you too, Lily. Just hold on 1 second. So what I thought I'd do today was to talk to you a little bit about this whole reality, about allowing life to unfold as it should. Niash is saying, I can't remember how to do this. Okay, about splitting the screen, yes, it's easy. And hi to Follow the Blancos, good to see you as well. Yeah, it is possible to do, and I can also just keep checking my email account and see when it comes through. It's funny, it hasn't come through on either of them. So, never mind. I don't want to keep distracting myself away from the broadcast, though. So with your permission, Nada, I'll have a look at it. Yeah, okay. So, Jody, could you just put up the correct email address again? I'm just... Yeah, you had the right spelling. So did you put @gmail.com? Maybe check what you typed. Sometimes we don't realize that what we typed was incorrect. So sorry, I've now got totally off kilter here. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. So let's continue on. You are right where you're meant to be. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Your job is to breathe, be kind to yourself, and quietly do what needs to be done. KM is asking, what is my favorite flower? I have a number of them. I love peonies. I love roses. I love flowers generally, quite honestly. Thank you for asking. What if we trusted that everything is unfolding as it should? I've got to ask you that if you could trust that, if you could trust that as horrible as this pandemic is, that everything is unfolding as it should, that we will all learn the lessons we need to learn and we will grow from it if we survive it and be better people for it. How many of you have noticed that your need for certain things is diminishing? And by the way, how many of you have noticed the things that you need are no longer in the stores necessarily? And I think we're all going to learn a great deal about ourselves and our tolerance level, our tolerance for change, our tolerance for our habits. You know, we're going to learn a lot. How about this one? Everything that you are going through is preparing you for what you asked for. How many of you remember how many times when I was looking for a house to buy, I said, I want a house with lots of light and space, somewhere that will suit me and my hobbies, and hopefully have a nice kitchen. And how many of you know, I've got so much light, I have to bring the blind. That's with the blind down, people. Can you imagine what it is with the blind up? You know, and it was so funny. I can remember visiting a friend of mine's house and really liking his kitchen cabinets. And I got here, and guess what? Those are the kitchen cabinets that I've now got. Remember seeing a house that had a massive work area. And I remember thinking, oh, I would love to have that. I would use it for so many things. And I do. And so, you know, sometimes we just need to be aware that keep asking for what you want, because one day it might just all fit together. And remember all the frustration of how many house sales didn't happen. And you know why? Because they were waiting for this one to be ready so that I could move. You see, the universe is unfolding as it should. Abram said, everything is unfolding perfectly as you relax and find ease in your attitude of trust, knowing that well-being is your birthright. Amazing things will happen, things like of which you have never seen before. You know, wasn't it funny that when I arrived here, I asked that one neighbor, you know, what's the community spirit like here? And that neighbor said, there isn't any. And yet, what have I found? Quite the opposite. And I believe that's because I was looking for community spirit. I found it. And so part of life is about being open to, you know, maybe it didn't look exactly the way I planned it either, but it's here. It's well and it's alive, and people care about one another if you show that you care about them. And they can be very private too. That doesn't mean they don't care. And so I want you to think about whether or not it is clear to you. No doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. And Deepak Chopra said, trust that your soul has a plan. And even if you can't see it completely, know that everything will unfold as it is meant to. Right? And sometimes we don't know what that plan is, but it will keep unfolding. And every time we go in a wrong direction, it will pull us back. I found that. Do you know how many times I try to get off the path of helping people? Because whatever, I thought, well, maybe I meant to do this, and then I'd be back. And then, I'd get off that and I'd be doing something else, and then I'd be back. And, it is strange how sometimes we just realize that's what you're meant to do. Yes, just saying, that was a huge lesson that I've learned from you. Back then, I used to get angry and disappointed when things didn't go through. But now I just say, oh, well, maybe that wasn't for me. Yeah, or it wasn't the right time yet. You'll find that some things come back, Nyasha. Some things don't come to you now that you first thought of it, but it'll come to you later when you can better appreciate it, or I believe in some ways deserve it. It's a reward you get. We must remember that our power comes from knowing that everything is all right and everyone is unfolding exactly as they are supposed to, right? So sometimes our temptation is to try and hurry up other people. I'm pretty certain you all can relate to that. You don't want them to grieve anymore, so you sort of say, well, it's time to move on now. Well, maybe it isn't. Some people will grieve for the rest of their lives, not because of any other reason than they don't want to move forward. Thank you. I was happy where I am. Yeah, and Yasha's saying things are meant to happen, all right? And she's talking about the braces that she needs for her legs. But due to the virus, it had to be postponed. Sad and disappointing for now. Yes, but now, you'll find that you got more time to organize it better, maybe. And why does it need to be postponed, would be my question. Postponed because of cost, postponed because of what? Is there another way? You know me, I'm always going, and what's plan B? John O'Donoghue said, I would love to live like the river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. And that makes me smile because for so much of my life, and I don't mind admitting this, I swam upstream. If the river was going this way, I was constantly, like a salmon, going against the flow. I have no idea why, but it was my nature. Do any of you relate to that? If everybody was turning right, I wanted to go left. Why? Because I wanted to find out, why aren't people going left? Why is everybody going like sheep to the right? So I'd intentionally go left to find out why. And sometimes I'd meet the big bear and go, that would be why. And then I go, okay. How many of you can see that visual? All right. It was said that you must be a lotus, unfolding its petals when the sun rises in the sky, unaffected by the slush where it is born or even the water which sustains it. Isn't that beautiful? Esther Hicks said, everything is unfolding perfectly. And as you relax and find ease in your attitude of trust, things the likes of which you have never seen before will unfold. We've heard that before a different way. Marianne Williamson said, I've come to trust not that events will always unfold exactly as I want, but that I will be fine either way. The challenges we face in life are always lessons that serve our soul's growth. Okay, let me see what Nyash is saying here. Yes, okay, so Nyash is saying now she's got the time to save the money that she needs for the braces. Yes, good. You see, you can see the good in that. All right, just hold on 1 second. Let me have a look here. Nada's saying that she's resent it. There we go. Okay. I know that. Actually, I have one that they both did. All right. Whoop. Hang on 1 second. All right. So what Nada has sent me was a drawing that Mia or Kira did of me. You saw the one Juliana did. Well, I've got the one that both of them did. Just hold on 1 second. I understand why you wanted me to see it. If you hold on, I will get you the one they both did. And I've got it somewhere here. Just bear with me a second. Just hold on. I've got to be able to find it. Okay. So this was the one. We're not sure whether it was Kira or Mia that did it, but then this was the other one. There you go, Nada. So thank you. And I understand why you wanted to send it to me, but isn't that beautiful that they both did? Right, so now we've got all three of them. Yeah, and if that makes you smile, Nada, I have something that will make you smile more. Hold on 1 second. Amazing how things unfold as they should. Guess what I found when I was unpacking this week? It was a Christmas card from the girls. So, Nada, I hope that made you smile. But you see, even then, they drew me the same way with my curly hair. It's interesting, isn't it, that they see that. So anyway, it is precious, yeah, absolutely. And imagine if I had never met them, how my life would be so different, right? Okay, so let me get back to where I was. Go with the flow, so. And next time, make sure you have your phone with you. I don't know where my phone went. Okay. Moving on. So when you hear those words, my life is unfolding perfectly and everything is happening just as it should, what do you think about? What's going on in your life um, that that it replies to? Yeah, and Yasha's saying about the girls, they aren't even my family and I love them. So precious, sweet, caring, and kind. Yes. That is because their parents lived that. I think one of the sad things to me in my life is that most people have no idea what that family does for other people constantly, not just for Dan Sember, just they're constantly doing wonderful things for people. Cheryl Strand said, your life will be a great and continuous unfolding, right? So what I want you to see is every day is unfolding as it should. Have you had some days where you're going, this isn't what I planned to do today? And in fact, got quite upset because it wasn't what you planned to do, and yet it is what you needed to do. And I think when you can see that, it's amazing. And remember those words, whether or not it is clear to you. All right, Kimmy's saying, I didn't get all the grass mowed. I can finish it tomorrow. Yeah. And Kimmy, did you see my note about the mask? I wondered whether you wear a mask when you cut the grass, because now that we know everybody's got masks going on, it might help some of the allergies. And if necessary, wear some goggles, and a mask. It probably will help your allergies a lot. They've started mowing lawns here, and guess what? My allergies are doing, cartwheels. This is so beautiful. Just breathe today and trust that everything is unfolding as it should. It is all going to be okay. Right. So Kimmy's saying she didn't wear a mask and it was so hard to breathe. Well, do you have a mask, Kim? Now it's interesting, the Ash is saying, and because of that, because they are kind, gentle people, right, they're going to be showered with lots of blessings. Well, what we know, Nyasha, is everything is in balance. And have you heard the expression, to whom a lot is given, a lot will be required? It's not the right quote, but it's roughly right. It basically says that if you are given a great deal in life, you also will need to cope with a great deal in your life. So don't ever think that their life is easier than yours. All right, that's the thing that I always have to remind people. You see this perfect family and you think they don't have any problems. Well, guess what? They do. They're just humans like the rest of us. All right. And so to whom much is given, much will be required, right? They have to have incredible balance in their lives, and they do. And I am very fortunate to be part of their life. And I'm even more fortunate that they trust me. And it's one of the things I had to be very careful of when I first became um, an online personality, because you can imagine how many people think I'm the shortcut to get a message to them. And I won't do it. As I've said to so many people, if I do it for you, I will need to do it for millions. And they go, no, 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 nobody has to know. And I said, I know. I know. Therefore, if I do it to you, I am making you more special than all the other viewers. So I won't do it. I'm sorry. Find another way. All right, so Kim is saying, I went to the store and I was shocked how many people were there without wearing a mask. It was most of them. And that is why you must be prepared, not scared, Kim, that the numbers are going to escalate dramatically. If the testing continues, if you notice there is now a push to stop as much testing, you know why? Because they don't want the results. The results will not look good. And that's why they're, backing off on trying to get, they're trying to stop people from wanting to be tested. Well, So what I want you to do is keep being very, very careful. And Kim is saying, I'm shocked that how many people are saying that COVID is fake. Yeah. Don't worry about other people, Kim. Wear your mask. Be careful. I want to tell you, it takes me an awful lot of time to unpack my groceries now. How about you guys? And one of the things I wanted to say to you. Did I put it away? It's so unlike me. 1 second. I didn't put it away. There we go. All right. One of the things that I wanted to let you know is I carry this little spritz bottle. I just used to have something that cleaned my laptops and things, the screens. But I have this filled with rubbing alcohol. And, when I go to click the mail, I spritz anything that I think that the mailman has touched that I might need to touch. If I take an envelope out, I immediately spritz it and I put it in my plastic bag that I take with me. Right. And then, but what I'm saying is, we need to continue to do these things if we want to stay safe. Don't worry about what other people aren't doing. Worry about what you are doing. Then you'll be much more peaceful. Hi, Kez. Good to see you. Kez is saying, I'm shocked at the stupidity of people going out in large groups around the world and protesting against the virus, thinking that's a good idea. Yeah. And sadly, it will happen. Yeah, Kimmy's saying it does take a long time to unpack and put groceries away because we clean everything now. Yes. And I am really aware of the time it takes of things. So, for example, everything that I cleaned yesterday is still sitting in my hallway. I'll leave it there for about a week before I pack it into the cupboards. It's just the way I do it now. And what I'm trying to make sure is that I've always got 1 week available. And so this week's ones I won't need to touch them for at least a week. All right. So all my shopping, I'm sort of working 1 week ahead all the time. I've even got that going in my fridge, this week's vegetables, last week's vegetables, and fruits like that. So I'm actually changed the way I use my fridge the same way, just in case, there's a week without. Yes, unfortunately, an awful lot of people thought going back to work meant just ignore everything. And that's the way that it is. Always remember deep in your heart that all is well and everything is unfolding as it should. There are no mistakes anywhere at any time. What appears to be wrong is simply your false imagination. That's it. So in terms of that, it'll be very sad because from my experience of life is the people who are irresponsible won't necessarily get the virus. It'll be somebody who is responsible that will accidentally get it. But that is life. And if you can understand that, then you will be prepared, not scared, right? It's like, have any of you ever read the stories about the people that were meant to be at work at 9/11 and for some reason were late or sick or whatever? Did any of you read those stories? There were a handful of people that for one reason or another didn't get to work on the morning of 9/11 on time. They were, either didn't go at all or were delayed in a car accident or whatever. But the interesting thing to me was at least one of them then got caught in that fire, that shooting that happened in Vegas. You see, it was their time. And it was like, hey, they missed 9/11, but they got caught up in the Vegas shooting. And I think sometimes we have to understand that it just is what it is. And if we can trust that we are fine within this, we will be. And if we, are constantly in fear, we will bring bad karma, I think. Sometimes we need to stop analyzing the past, stop planning the future, stop figuring out precisely how we feel, stop deciding exactly what we want, and just see what happens. How about that for a thought? Just be. How many times have you heard me say to people, stop being a human doing, try being a human being? Yes, but I've got to do it. No, you haven't got to do anything. You can imagine I could ruin every day by saying, I've got to be unpacking now. I can't sit down. Da, 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 da. No. Quite honestly, anything that needs to be unpacked or most of what needs to be unpacked is already unpacked. I've got the rest of my life to unpack, the rest or not. And by the way, one of the things that I have done is I have put on order to get a second freezer, and it's going to be a chest freezer. And I'm going to put it in my arts and crafts room. I was originally going to put it at the bottom of my bed, but I'm going to put it in my arts and crafts room. And you know why? Because I realize it is tall enough to be a cutting area. How many of you going, stealth? I realize I can paint on it if I want to. It's big enough. I can use it as a cutting table. I can use it as a folding table to fold the laundry if I want to. Not that I do that. I hang mine up immediately. But, it's like it has a second function. So I'm very happy. So when is it being delivered? Yeah, not until mid-July. All right, so I've got until mid-July to get rid of those boxes that are sitting where it wants to go. And the thing is, Rinsky, what I did was, hang on. I'll show you because it's easier to show you. At the moment in my art room, I have my craft room, I have my desk sitting here, and then I have an L shape. That isn't quite the right angle, is it? Never mind. Nobody really cares. Okay, so then I have my desk, and then this is part of a wall here, and then I have the L part of my desk here. Make sense? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the freezer on this side of the desk, opening from this side. And now I've got, and by the way, this is actually a bookcase. So it's pretty narrow here. I'm going to change all of that. Okay, so, but what I've got on there is my die cutter. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the freezer here because it's almost exactly the same size. And now I can open it from this side, or I can put my die cutting stuff there. I'm going, that's at the right place for it. Everything is unfolding as it should. Makes sense. Okay, so here's the thing that Kim is saying. I have a chest freezer. I wish I had gotten a standing freezer. It would be easier to get things out. Yes, but you know what I found is you can get much more into a chest freezer than you can in a standing freezer. And so in terms of that, I'm going to be very happy with the chest freezer. I don't think that, the other thing is this, I want to be able to have other people use it as well. That's why I got the size that I did, because there are going to be other people that might need to have a bit of freezer space extra. And I'll be happy to share that. So my experience of having a standing freezer, when I first got to my old house, it had a side-by-side. I want to tell you, that was the worst setup ever in my view. I now have a top refrigerator, bottom freezer area here. That's pretty easy. It's all about how you put it in as well, Kim. I found that if you put stuff in boxes and then in the freezer, so this is the roasts box, and this is the frozen food, frozen vegetable box. It makes it a lot easier. Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. So the thing is not to just huck things in there if you have a chest freezer, and preferably, get some of those wire baskets and put those in where you can lift them out easily, right? You can lift out the meats and then get to the frozen foods, or lift out the frozen foods and frozen vegetables, and get to the frozen fruits. I got there eventually. It took me a while to work that one out. Just trust that everything is unfolding the way it's supposed to. Don't resist. Surrender to what is. Let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. Great things are waiting for you around the corner. You see, one of the things that was funny was that I could not get the freezer that I wanted, which was going to be about half the size of the one that I ordered. And, because that's what I thought I needed. And then I decided, something, why don't I just let it be? And let's see what comes up on sale next. Literally, that's what I did. And I think Jody will probably help me on this one. I think about 3 days later, I checked with Home Depot, which is where I got it from, and the first thing to come on sale was this particular one. And I thought, it's a bit bigger than I wanted, but I'm going, get it while you can. And guess what? I did. Yes, so Kim, you understand, if you are short and the chest freezer is tall, how tall is it? 3 foot? How tall is it? And that's why I'm saying, if you have it in baskets, when I say baskets, that you only have to go halfway in to get the handles of the basket, or tubs. Get a couple of tubs from, the store, and put different tubs in, but tall enough and not too heavy that you can get them out, because the handles will be higher. All right, does it, let me do it a different way. How tall are you? Hang on 1 second. Okay, so how tall are you? You're 5 feet. Okay, so it would stand to reason. Hang on a second, let me just work out the relevance of that. I am about 5'7" still, I think. About 5'6.5" these days. Okay, but my waist, if I can still find it, is about 3.5 feet. So let's presume, because I'm 6 inches taller than you, that you also. Let me tell you something. When you lean against a counter, is it at hip height still, roughly? Because here is the truth. If I lean over, okay, if I lean over, my fingers are about 17 inches from the floor. And I'm not very supple because of my age and everything. Your counters are at chest level? No. You would have to be a lot less than 5 feet. All right. Your counter, your worktops in your kitchen cannot be at chest level. I would find that very weird to believe that. Anyway, but you get my thinking. For most of us, our fingers are about, let's say, 15, 17 inches from the ground, whatever our height is. Because when you lean over at the waist, all right. And what I'm saying is, if you get a couple of bins that are about 20 inches deep, the handles are going to be at 17 inches, which means you'll be able to grab them pretty easily and get them out. Am I making sense to anybody? Okay. All right, so if this is your freezer, your deep freezer, and you get bins that are about 20 inches, the handles of them will be easy for you to get to. So that, especially for those bottom ones, all right? And then you don't have to take the individual things out, take the whole bin out. It'll be much easier for you than trying to dig to the bottom because you can't. Do you understand what I'm saying, Kim? Right. Jeannie's got the other plan B. Plan B is get a step stool, okay, to raise your height so you can lean in more. Try not to fall in. Good idea, Jeannie. Thank you for adding that. Yes, and you can keep the little step stool next to the freezer. Yeah, very clever. Right. Jeannie has the same problem. She's struggling to make it to 5 feet even. There you go. If you want to do it, you can, Kim. That is the difference in life, all right? Kez said it first. Okay, sorry, Kez, that I missed it. But thank you, Jeannie, for being the human you are. I appreciate it. All right. So, do you understand that everybody has got excuses why they can't do things, and everybody has reasons why they can? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? That you've heard that so many times, right? If people want to do it, they will find a way of doing it. How many of you know I want to be able to feed myself? I want to be able to feed myself with my own lettuce without having to buy it. Imagine that I have got $30 worth of lettuce growing there now. What if that could feed me for the rest of the year? Would that be a good investment and still have beautiful fresh lettuce every day. In fact, I'd be having spring greens every day. All right, so why is it harder for you, Kim, just so I understand, than it is who is shorter than you? Just explain that to me so I can understand. I can do it, but it's harder for me to do it. Harder than it is for Jeannie? Harder than it is for somebody taller, I understand. But Jeannie is shorter than you. And she says using the step stool helps her. Yeah, life isn't easy. You know something, Kimmy? Things are harder for me because I'm old. Things are harder for me because I've got arthritis. Things are harder for me because I could go on that list forever, but I still do 90% of the things I want to do. They may not be as easy to do, but I am still doing the things I want to do. Because that is what life is about. If we want the excuses, we've got them, but the truth is, if you want to do it, you'll find a way. I need you all to remember that. If you want to do it, you will find a way. I am pretty certain Jody thought that her sewing machine would never come out of mothballs because of her arthritis, because of her health problems, because of da 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 da. And the truth is, she wanted to make masks. So she hauled it out of mothballs. She said goodbye to the dust bunnies. She oiled it up. She then spent what money she didn't have. In fact, she spent birthday money that she received to buy the materials. She didn't have the money. But she had a gift of some money for her birthday, and she used that money not to buy herself something, but to buy the materials she needed to help other people. You see, when you want to do something, you'll find a way. And, I want to tell you something, Kimmy. My washer, hang on a second, people. I got to measure how high my washer is. Okay, my washer is, I've just measured it. It is 23 inches deep, the actual tub. So I understand about how difficult it is to get to the bottom of the tub. But again, remember what Jeannie said. If you have a little step stool like this next to your washer, and you can also use it for getting into the freezer, it'll give you that extra thing. Now, you've got to learn how to balance a bit, but you can do it much more easily. I find standing on one leg, I don't know why that is, standing on one leg helps me get down deeper on mine. So we've all got that problem, not just you, Kimmy. When I have to stand, it's like a ledge and there are stairs by there too. Okay, so put a child gate up there, something to protect you. Boy, you can give me all the reasons, can't you? Right. Listen to Jeannie. Jeannie's saying, today I made beef stew in the crock pot and I had to bring the pot up from the basement. It was hard work, but I did it. Delicious stew with cabbage, mushrooms, green peppers, onions. Yeah. Did you remember to throw some balsamic vinegar in there? Because I want to tell you, adding balsamic vinegar to anything that's got beef in it, it's like you just added wine. Yeah, Isabel, you're right. There was a 2x4 in there somewhere. But this is my reality. My reality is if I want to do it, by the way, I've got this problem in my garden and I don't know how to fix that. But I kept waiting. Remember, everything is unfolding as it should. I kept waiting to get given the sign. And guess what? My neighbor started to build the thing I need to repair. He started to build one. And I went, Could I pay you to fix mine? Because it might need a bit of rebuilding. Or would you rather I paid somebody else? And he said, no, I'd happily do it for you. So, yes, you know something, Kim? Just hear me on this one. We will always do what we want to do. We will find a way. And we will always have excuses and complain about the things we don't want to do, or that we, feel entitled, should be easy or whatever. Life isn't easy. Life is about making a plan. I can assure you that Jody is in excruciating pain when she makes those masks, but the love that she sows into them is second to none. Well done, Kimmy. Kimmy's saying, I do it by myself, but I may sound like I'm complaining, but I am not. Actually, you are, honey. And I do realize that there are other people besides me that have problems too. Yes, we all have our challenges. But I want to tell you, if you wanted to listen to the excuses that Jody could have, it would take all day. It's not just asthma, right? It's not just that she's short. It's all of those things, plus a whole lot of other things to build. So, to me, Kimmy, the wake up call is when you realize I can do it, I just have to make plan B. You see, that's the difference. When I started to think like that, I stopped being depressed. I'm not joking. It was when I changed that sort of thinking. Well, it's not fair. It's easy for some people because they're younger. And I go, no. Do you want to do it? Either find a way or find a way. Right? And so to me, part of what we're all doing, Kimmy, is finding those areas in our life where we have too many excuses. Right? I didn't want to go and fire up the car yesterday, quite honestly. I wasn't in the mood. And you know what I did? I went, yeah, I know you're not in the mood. But it's going to take you 15 minutes to get in your car, start it up and pray that it starts, and go and run it for 15 minutes so that it will be working if you have an emergency tonight. You see, that is the choice you have, Sal. Take the risk and don't fire up that battery, and then have an emergency where you can't get in your car. Now, do yourself a favor, smarten up. Forget the excuses why you can't do it and just go and do it. And I did. And I felt so much safer after I'd done it. Yes, Jody is saying it is a personal challenge to see how many obstacles you can overcome. All of us, yeah, that we can. Yeah, exactly. Isabel saying, we all have to work on this, the excuses. No, Isabel, we don't have to. Some of us choose to, right? There is no have to. But some of us choose to change our life by dropping the excuses. Can you imagine the difference in your life if you honestly stopped using the excuses? And it was interesting because one of the things that my sister said to me when she heard I was buying the freezer is she said, the additional freezer, she said, oh, well, we get power outages here. I said, so do we. Mind you, I don't know what the power outages are like here because I've never lived here for a year. And do you all know how to check whether your freezer has had a power outage, and how bad it was? If for any reason you're not in the house when it happens, do you all know how to do that? I'm looking for something to show you. Okay. When you put, when you've got room in your freezer, I'm laughing because I think I'm nearly there. Take a plastic container like this. Well, not like this because this has been cut, but you take a whole one. And what you do is you fill it with water and freeze it. And then put a coin on top of it. All right. And I would make it a fairly deep one. If you have a very thin one, I don't think it's fair. But if you have, I would say at least this is about 4 inches. So I would say this is probably a good size. But the thing is, if you have the coin on top and there's been a power outage, when you eventually get the power back on again, open up your freezer, see how far that coin has gone down. Actually mark it where it's frozen, and then just see how far it's gone. Obviously, if the coin is at the bottom, you need to throw everything out. Jeannie's saying, we're thankful to own a great generator that quickly comes on during an electrical outage. I am considering that as a something as well that I might consider. Yeah, so Jody, do you understand how that works? Right, but what you can see is how much thawing was there. And if it's only a little bit, quite honestly, if you have a power outage for a day and you don't open up that freezer, it should be fine. But if the coin is at the bottom, you need to hook stuff. Yes, very important to have a generator. I've got to see how much it would cost and see whether, first of all, I don't know how many power outages. And I think, yeah, we'll see. How about this one? And Jody, I know I meant to do the timeline, so just hold on a second. Ditch the timeline. Ditch the timeline you think your life should be following, and trust that everything is unfolding as it should. One of the things I always say to people trying to help other people is this: their speed is the right speed for them. So sometimes not everybody learns the lessons just because they know, just because they have the knowledge doesn't mean that they learn the lesson. They intellectually might hear it, but they haven't assimilated it yet. And I'm pretty certain if you think about your life, there are some things that you heard early on, and that didn't make sense to you until 20 years later. Nyasha's saying excuses do come easy to an individual. It's like the second nature to us as a person. I've been trying my hardest these days to remind myself to reject the old me and find and accept the new. Now, actually, you need to find and accept the real you, not your, not the perfect you decided to think you were. And I think when we can accept the real us by letting go of the excuses, we find out that we're not nearly as all sorts of things that we thought we were. All right. When we deal in truth, it is so much different somehow. All right, now we'll try and find the countdown. I hope that for some of you, this has been helpful. And while I'm reading through the countdown, perhaps you can tell me, what was it about today's broadcast that meant something to you? What was it that helped you today, if anything? Okay, so Valentine's Day is 9 months away now, 9 months and 2 days, in fact. And we have got 221 days until Christmas. That means that we've got 6 months and 17 days to get our overseas cards in the mail. Thanksgiving is 6 months and 12 days away for those of you who celebrate it in the US. And for those of us who celebrate it in Canada, we have 4 months and 27 days. You've just got 1 month and 29 days in the States to get your taxes in, and we in Canada have 15 days. Summer is just 33 days away in the Northern Hemisphere, which means that winter is just 33 days away in the Southern Hemisphere. Anybody south of the equator is heading towards winter now, and we are heading towards summer. The strange thing is that I have owned my house now for 3 months, and that means that I moved here 4 months ago. Isn't that amazing? It's a third of a year already that I've been here. Doesn't it seem like sort of yesterday? Sunny Ash is saying, I can tell you guys, finding the new me is difficult. I often wish I could go back to the way it was. But if I'm going to have to grow as a person, it's time to ditch what once was. That is called being an adult. Well done, Yasha. Jeannie's saying, sorry I came in so late. I always learn things from the broadcast. I guess because I'm older, I have been able to accept myself with flaws and all. Yeah. And that's why, that's why as we get older, we get more wise, right? Because we don't need the BS anymore. We just realize we are okay as we are. It was funny, I was talking to somebody just this week, and they were complimenting me on my hair. And I said the best thing I ever did was to stop dyeing it and just let it be. Because for some peculiar reason, it suddenly got curly where I needed it to be curly. And it suddenly got, there was lots of it where I needed to have lots of it. And I said, my biggest problem is keeping it under control. But I said, sometimes you just have to let it be and it's better. Jody's saying, I enjoyed the entire broadcast. It's such an important community of friends that I cherish seeing every week. In particular, the Desiderata was so calming and reassuring. I love the plant updates too. Yeah, I know, Jody. That's why. That's why I knew. I knew you'd be pretty stunned with that much growth. Really, that's how big that much growth since Friday. I mean, really, I thought Jody's going to love that. So, Kim, keep doing what you're doing, honey. All right. And keep telling your truth. That this is really important, Kim, that you hear that, don't stop telling your truth because for fear of a 2x4 or something, don't do that. Just keep talking about it because that's how we change. All right. Yes, it's normal. Remember, Nyasha, I'm not going to repeat what you said here because you asked me not to. What you need to know is his house, his rules. Yeah, you just got to get that straight. His house, his rules. Doesn't matter whether you agree with it. Doesn't matter if you think it's silly. Right? His house, his rules, end of story. So I want to particularly thank Kimmy for her honesty, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of you will relate to what Kimmy's saying. And in that, she helps everybody. Isabel saying, I have to go take my walk before dark. Have to? Or do you choose to, Isabel? I'm going to get this through to you guys eventually. I don't have to go before dark. I choose to go before dark, right? For whatever reason. So big hugs to you all. Kim, I love it that you can be so honest. All right? I love it that you trust us enough to tell us your truths. And I love it that you don't take it personally. It shows me what an incredible person you are. And I really do recommend trying wearing a mask when you mow the other half of the lawn and see if it helps you. So to me, life is what we make it. Desiderata was written a long, long time ago, people, and it's still as relevant today. And I think in a way, Desiderata is more important today. Life is unfolding as it should. We might have an incredible loss of life during this pandemic, but we will come out of it having learned important lessons. Hopefully, how never to allow this to happen again would be, if you think about it, with World War II, the one major thing that came out of it is we must never let this happen again. And that's when they formed the United Nations. So all of these things, I think, are terribly important for us to remember. How many you've heard me say time and time, let us remember history, right? So we don't repeat it. How often do I read poems? Whenever I feel like it. But I want to tell you, I don't think a poem teaches you any more than a quote. Hi, Maria. Good to see you. All right. And so life, I can watch a movie and learn lessons about life, Nyasha. Why? Because I'm constantly looking how I can improve my life. You see, if you're looking for lessons, you will find them. It is said that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I constantly am looking to learn how to be a better person because I am not perfect. You know, boy, Kimmy, I've still got excuses, honey. I am not perfect, but I am working on them really hard. So all of you have a wonderful week. We will see you for our first skills broadcast using the countertop on Friday. The question is, I think you all want to know how to make your own dishwashing tabs, right? I'll do that while I chat. Really, not as difficult as it looks. And just so you know, if you happen to have the small ice cube trays, it is better. If you can do it in regular ice cube trays, but just only fill them half up. That's my experience. So, and quite honestly, I make mine with stuff I have in the house anyway, just so you know. Right. So for those of you who don't have a dishwasher, think about it and start thinking about making your own washing powder or whatever. Things are going to be very, very expensive very quickly. And you're going to be so grateful to have learned these skills. This is DearMamaSal saying, I sent you a big hug. Jody, thank you for being our admin and constantly being such a warm and welcoming person during our broadcasts. We all thank you so much. And thank you again for all the hard work you put in over and above your regular stuff just to put together the Friday evening funnies. You really do such a great job on that, and we are most grateful. DearMamaSal will not be the same without your input. And I certainly want to tell you that we love you for it. All right, everybody, this is DearMamaSal saying, cut the excuses this week. Remember that life is unfolding as it should. If you get delayed on the way to somewhere, remember the reason might be so that you miss an accident. This is DearMamaSal saying, look after one another, but most of all, remember to look after yourself. And I'm going to try and end this broadcast, which, as you know, is a bit of a mental challenge for me because I have to hit certain buttons in the right order. That would be one. Bye, everyone. I'm still here. You see, sometimes life does not unfold as I thought it should, but now maybe it will.